All right, it's Ray from Pro Shaper Workshop in Charlton, Massachusetts. What you're looking at is not a big bra, but a cowling for a 1929 one-off biplane. It was restored by Mark, who's from the Chicago area, west of Chicago. And he's been working on this project as a total restoration of this plane, which was made in Delaware. And it's been a long haul. He's done other jobs too. He's not been working on this for 8 years, but this is one of the final pieces he had to do, was to make this cowling that fits over OX5 V8 aircraft motor. It's a Curtiss OX5. It's a famous aircraft motor, and it has staggered heads on it. And this is the cowling that allows the airstream to run over it. And Mark designed this by using a wire form. He watched my videos. Previously he had made a wood buck and tried an attempt at it, and he didn't like the other result. So he used the wire form to wire form with plenty of clearance around all the cylinder heads and everything. And this is the shape that evolved. Its form follows function. And this front has got some incredible reverse curves on it. And Mark had never done anything like this before, and he's learned the process that I taught him. And these are two left and right side, and they're all shrunk into place essentially. And he's done a superb job. There is a stagger on the head. There's a little asymmetry because one head's further forward than the other. And then another student, John from Pennsylvania, helped Mark with these front pieces here. Well, actually they're the rear pieces. And these have some really complex reverse curve complexity as well. And these are going to need a little more attention. But Mark is now up to speed on all the techniques to be able to make really complicated pieces like this. So he's going back to his shop in Illinois, and he's going to make this center section, which will be 2 pieces. So all total there'll be 6 pieces in this cowling, and he'll weld it together at his shop. And I'll bring Mark in just for a second, let him make a few comments. Mark, you want to come in and say? Sure. He's been here 8 days to do this, and he did, I think, quite an achievement in 8 days. So, go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, so the 8 days were really good. I've learned a lot of new techniques. Shrinking aluminum was something that I didn't think to do. I've done it on steel, but yeah, pretty much the whole front of that is shrunk, which...
And we didn't anneal it as well, either.
Yeah, it wasn't annealed.
It's 0050, 50 thousandths, 3003 was what we used. Yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, so there's really not any thin spots in it. It's basically shrinking makes the metal thicker, so it's pretty amazing. Yeah, well, I started on this airplane for a customer about 8 years ago as a fill-in project for the shop. In the last 2 years, worked on it pretty extensively. So it was kind of a ground-up restoration for a gentleman out in California that has a pretty big airplane collection and likes the old airplanes to be looking like they did when they came out of the factory or when they were built back in the 20s and 30s. So all my techniques are 20s and 30s type stuff. So yeah, that's about it.
And you had to build the wings all brand new, and
I got a fuselage tubing. I got an upper wing that needed to be reworked, and I had lower wings that were original and were in really bad shape. And they asked me to save as much of the wood as possible, so I rebuilt the bottom wings. He gave me those parts, and he gave me 3 pictures, and he said, "Make it look like the picture." So the airplane had flown.
And what's the manufacturer's name now?
Srigliano, Seraphin Srigliano.
Okay. Yeah.
Built the airplane in about 1929. I think it was finished in 1930. And he worked, I believe, for Curtiss in the very beginning, and then he was an engineer for Belenka. And he built the airplane and he was going to certify the airplane and never did. 1929 with the Depression and all that stuff, I think everything just kind of fell apart. So it was a one-off airplane, and when he built it with the OX5, and then it was modified to a Continental, a radial engine for a little while, and then it kind of disappeared, and excuse me, got highly modified. It had a spring landing gear on it. It had a 160 or 145 or 165 Warner, which is a radial engine, more modern engine, modern from the 40s. And it flew all the way into the mid-1980s. And when the customer that I'm working for bought it, he wanted to put it back to the original OX5 1929 configuration, so that's what I ended up doing.
It's been a really interesting project too. There's just so many aspects to it.
Yeah, I built the whole airplane off of the 3 pictures that he gave me.
Yeah, and did you have to replace most of the fuselage too? Which is
no, the fuselage was in really good shape. The only thing I had to replace was a little bit of tubing in the tail post,
okay,
and a couple of longerons in the back. And the fuselage was in really good shape. But there was nothing inside the fuselage. There were no seats, floorboards, controls, all that kind of stuff. So I had to fabricate all that stuff from the picture that he sent me. Fortunately, one of the pictures was the airplane completely uncovered. So I could see what was inside the airplane, and I scaled everything off that picture and built the parts for it.
Okay. Now, in the future, if you have to do something like this, you feel that you have now got the skills that you can tackle just about anything, I would believe, right?
Yeah, I mean, a lot more than I did 8 days ago. I still have to think through the process, but I have a really good background now and understanding of
you got to internalize it.
Yeah. Kind of stand back and look at it. But yeah, one of the big things on this cowling was I think I probably could have done it on my own. I would have made a lot of scrap, and so that's why I've been watching race videos for a long time, and I wanted to come out there, and I thought this would be the perfect project for it to build up my skill set, and it seemed to work because it's pretty amazing how all this stuff came out.
Yeah, and this was the first wire form you've ever made?
This was the first wire form.
Yeah, and that was a big eye opener, I bet.
It was, and what I did was I built the perimeter structure on the airplane, so just the perimeter, and then these shapes here, so I could clear all the cylinders and clear all the internal parts. And then to get this shape and the back shape, I couldn't quite visualize how it was going to look, so I put foam in there, foam core I bought it from Home Depot. I hot glued it together in sections and formed it with a saw and a die grinder.
And that was just to give you the visual.
To give me the shape. And then the wires that I made for the front of this came off of the pattern.
Yeah, we'll show that styrofoam over here. He made one for the back and one for the front. So this is the way he worked out the actual surface flows. And then took bent the wires. As you can see, he's got like stations there. And he made templates and bent the wires to all the templates off of that.
You want to take this off here and see if we can take a look at
So there's the wire form, and we strengthened up the wire form quite a bit and put some legs on it. We're on an adjustable height table here, so it was really user-friendly. And one of the best things about the wire form is you can actually see how the panels are fitting, and you can't do that with one of the wood station bucks, which are, it seems that everybody makes wood station bucks, and the wire form is the way to go. If you haven't tried making a wire form, make a wire form. I think I've got a sold customer in Mark. He'll be doing it again, I'm sure. So I think that's all for today. Thanks for watching. That's Mark saying goodbye, and Ray from Pro Shaper Workshop. See you soon. Thank you. Bye.
Good deal.